Okay, good evening, leaders. I take the opportunity to welcome all of you to today's session. I just want to confirm that you're able to hear me well, and also you're able to see my screen. So let me just do a quick check. David Okello, you can probably confirm first. Just unmute and confirm if you can hear me.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Thank you so much, David. Karibu.
Okay.
Okay, Pamela, let me know if you can hear me well.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome,
Thank
Pamela.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Mariam Karanja can also confirm.
Yes, I can hear you. How are you? Good evening.
Good.
Hi
Good.
to everyone.
Yeah, we are well.
I'm doing
Thank
well.
you so much, Mariam.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We also have Reverend Evanson Ngugi. Reverend, I trust you can also hear me well.
Yes, very well and clear. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening. Karibu sana.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, so here we are as we continue to hang out and learn together, interact, and network through this virtual platform. So far, so good. We've been doing quite well and been able to cover already about 4 lessons. And today we expect to cover lesson 5 and lesson 6. And the song that was playing is just it's our song as Global Leadership Network. That's what we believe in. And we believe that the little things we do are the ones that end up making a big impact. So whatever contribution we're able to make from whatever platform and the space that God has provided to us, at the end of it all, it accumulates and it compounds to a significant change around us. So I think the little that we're able to do, we do it with our whole heart. We do it with all the passion that we're able to do it. And at the end of it all, we'll be able to compound and the circles of influence will be able to merge to a bigger circle. So we are pleased to engage tonight. We'll just move right away, and in between, I know we'll keep on interacting. And considering that today we also have a facilitator who has not been with us, so I think we'll continue to engage so that we can be able to know each other well. As the others join, I think for us, since we need to maximize on this time, we'll just kick on, and I'll request that we start with a word of prayer. So let's just believe and pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for yet another opportunity as we sit down as leaders just to discuss, engage, and deliberate on how to serve better. We pray that, Lord, you will guide our discussions. We are trusting in you. The Lord, wisdom will flow, and the Holy Spirit will take control. Will continue speaking to us in whatever way. Let your word speak to us. Let the speakers that you're prepared today be used of you, oh God. And we pray that all of us will be able to get an in-depth understanding of what we are learning today as you transform our lives so that we can transform our environments. We trust you this evening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Good. So we'll just move right away and start engaging. In between, after this lesson, we'll have a breakout session, and then we'll come back and share our discussions. So, and as usual, as we continue, Feel free to share your take home. If something comes out and you feel that this should be your take home, please note it and share it on the chat so that we can continue to benefit from each other and also reinforce what we are learning. So feel free to share on the chat, and I think that will be good enough. Otherwise, as we embark to focus on what we are sharing today, last week we had a few takeaway. We had a few assignments and some challenge. And one of the challenge was to undertake a personality test. I don't know how many of you were able to undertake this test. And if you can share just probably in one word or in a sentence, what was the outcome of your results? I know some of you shared with me. Some of you probably undertook the test, but you didn't share. But you can just mention what came out. And does it in a way communicate with what you believe about yourself and probably what other people might have mentioned about you? Was the test converging with that with the understanding of yourself and also with the comments and feedback that probably you receive from the people around you? And since I know I received a comment from David, I'll start with David, and then I will move on to Mariam. Just to share, if you undertook the test, well and good, you can share out. If you didn't, you can also just mention you didn't, and then we'll probably engage in the next class on this. So David, if you can start us off, maybe you can just share your observation and if they are in concurrence with what you believe about yourself and the feedback around you. So David, you can go first.
Okay. Good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you so much. And I took the test last week as we had been recommended, and I tried to be as honest as possible so that I can get the accurate of my personality. And the results for me was that and it was most leaning to my personality, and I concurred with it. So to start with, I'm an introvert. I'm not an outgoing person. I like to keep to myself. I don't engage much, and close to the people I already know. I'm not free to make new friends. And also in terms of decision making, I tend to be a little bit, I'm not that risk taker. I judge fast. I'm not that quick person to say there are people out there who are decisive. But for me, so it gave me a real feedback about myself, and I really appreciated the whole thing that I undertook. And but for me, it was okay. It was me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. And it's good to note that you concur with the results. And I think there was quite a lot of details, which I'm sure as you were able to look at the summary. So thank you for sharing. Mariam Karanja.
Thank you very much, Mwalimu Joseph. From my side, I undertook the test also, and I realized that I'm a protagonistic.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
At first, I was not sure what that exactly meant, but I've been able to really reflect a bit on it, and to some extent, I am what that means, and this is a person who is radiantly authentic, is concerned, is unafraid to stand up and speak up, can easily mingle with people. They are trying to look at what are they called? They are the different categories, bit in the mind, they are extravagant in the energy, intuitive, and in the nature, I think feeling comes when you just want to speak out your mind.
Mhm.
Many times I think I'm some time to think before really giving my outputs. But also in tactics, I'm also very judging. I have to read before undertaking something, to plan, I have to before taking and something, before getting into something, I really do take my time, judge it, see if it is viable or not, and really get to understand it is. I think most of the traits and also the explanation was below there. I think a lot reflects on the kind of a person that I am, that I'm really a genuine person. I speak out my mind. I care about people and I really do talk to people and engage with different people. And also I cultivate a team and also help them to grow and become what they would want to. That's what I learned from my personality, though I also said maybe with time I'll have to retake another test again and just to really rethink and reflect about it and see what exactly comes out of it. Thank you, and back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mariam. You know, I think it's a good experience just sometimes to think about yourself, like talk about yourself through such tools. And it also, as we talk about myself, I think it's also a moment of just reflecting and getting an in-depth understanding of ourselves and maybe shaping up better and tapping into our strength more in a more intentional way. So thank you for that feedback. I'll move on to Pamela and then Nolan. So let me start with Pamela first.
Thank you, Joseph. I do the personality test. Hello?
Hello, Pamela.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Pamela.
Yeah, I was unable to do the personality test.
Okay.
But I think it is, after listening to my colleagues, I'm interested in doing it. I'll do it and send you my, my result, please.
It's okay. I'll share the link again with you so that you can just undertake the test and then we'll share in the next
I think I
class.
missed the link last. I missed the link last time.
Okay.
And
okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll share
Thank you.
directly with you and then we can discuss next week. Okay, thank you,
Thank
Pamela.
you.
Nolan?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi.
I also need to do the personality test, but I'm going to do it.
Okay. So thank you. I think you'll also share next week.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Robert Gitahi, if you were able to undertake the personality test, how was the results? Just a brief on that. Mr. Robert Gitahi, if you can hear me.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry I came in just from work. So I was able to do the personality test and the personality. And well, I'll try out to figure out who an advocate is, but I try to be as much as possible to be true to myself and to who I am. So basically, well, I'm not an outgoing person, and most of the time you'll find that I'm doing my own thing. I can be around. I'm not outgoing. I won't go to a social event, mostly even during the weekends. I just take my time, rest, reflect, and do my own activities. Can either be reading, watching movies. That is what I basically do. I'm not.
Oh, sorry. I think we have lost Robert. I will give him an opportunity when he reconnects. So I think from the experience, also thinking about the colors, I guess we can draw some conclusion in terms of the color that we identified and the qualities that were able to come out. Robert, I can see you are back.
The connection. So basically not outgoing. So the eventuality that I go out, they take time before I get introduced to new friends. I don't just bring to them my time, I get to understand them. I take time to build that relationship. So I normally take my time and understand people in a position to bring them close to my cycle of friends. And so I take time to make decisions. I don't just rush to conclude. So I take my time, evaluate those what I am, and I try to get to know myself better, and then I'll report the different outcome I can be a position to.
Good. I think, thank you so much, Robert, for sharing also. And we tend to, I think, agree with what came out. I think all of us tend to agree with what came out from the last week's discussion. So we're still talking about personal or self-awareness in the level 1. Yeah, so as we continue to engage, we continue to learn more about ourselves. And even today, we'll still be discussing about ourselves more. And we'll be able to pick out clearly some more in-depth qualities about who we are. Later on, we'll look at managers vis-a-vis leaders, and we'll also see where are we inclined towards. So let me move on with the session today. And today we are talking about the lesson 5. Lesson 5, we look at the 3 types of learning loops. 3 types of learning loops. And maybe at the end of the class, you can identify which learning loop are you more inclined to out of the 3 that we're going to discuss. And to start us off, I'll start with this story about 3 bricklayers. It's a parable about the power of vision and purpose, but also it can connect with the discussions that we're having today. So there were these 3 bricklayers, and both of them were asked a question. Someone just came across them and asked them, what are you doing? They were undertaking the work. And the first one, he said, I'm a bricklayer. I'm working hard, laying bricks to feed my family. Yeah. The second one said, I am a builder. I'm building a wall. And then the third one, he said, I am a cathedral builder. I am building a great cathedral to the Almighty. Probably if I can pose a question, of the 3, who do you think was motivated at his work or undertaking his work? If you can just share on the chat. Who do you think of the 3 was most motivated? Looking at the 3 respondents, the 3 responses, one of them saying, I'm working hard is to make a living and get something for my family. The second one, I am a builder. Yeah, sorry for that. Sorry for that, but I'm back. So of the three, you can indicate on the chat who was motivated, more motivated or highly motivated, if we can put it that way, of the three. And if you can just put on the chat, I guess as I take, Pamela, you're saying the third one. The third one. Who else? Let me see. The third is having or seeing a great dream behind it all. So basically, we can actually agree the third one, based on what he described his role and what the picture that he saw made him to be more motivated in undertaking his work. So we look at this, and as I conclude, we'll also want to probably revisit this story after going through this lesson and see among the three learning loops, how do we categorize these three bricklayers? So again, I remind you about the story we have discussed quite a number of times in this class, JFK and the janitor. And this basically the importance of the why that is behind what we do. If you can remember the story, when the president, John F. Kennedy, visited NASA, met a cleaner and asked him what he was doing at NASA. The cleaner was just mopping the floor. And the cleaner said he's helping put a man on the moon. And we concluded that the cleaner really understood the vision of the organization, and he knew his part, and he had a purpose, and he saw the bigger picture in the role. He didn't define himself according to the role, but he defined himself according to the bigger picture of the organization. So these two will help us just to reflect as we look at the three types of learning loops, that all of us belong to maybe one or two or a combination of these learning loops. So we have always agreed that leaders are perpetual learners. Learning and leading are part and parcel of us. Because if we are to offer a healthy leadership, then we need to keep on refreshing ourselves, and that comes through learning. So these three categories of learning loops were discussed at Federal Health Futures Leadership Summit, which took place in September, that is 2012. And the theme was learning for transformational change. So they came up with these three learning loops. The first one is a single learning loop, or single loop learning, which is about following the rules. And the single word for single loop learning is what? Is what? So I will break it down as we continue. So the double loop learning is about changing the rules. And one word for double loop learning is how. And then the triple loop learning is about learning how to learn. The single word for triple loop learning is why. So the triple loop learning focuses on why, double loop learning focuses on how, then the single loop learning focuses on what. And this is all about, they are all feeding into the outcome. So I'll break it down and we just discuss briefly on each. So when we're looking at the single learning loop, we are saying that it focuses on doing things better without necessarily examining or challenging underlying beliefs on assumptions. So it's basically focusing on what is being undertaken. If it's in the leadership context, it's basically probably focusing more on the action, focusing more on the role, focusing more on the task, and focusing more on even instructions without much examination. So there is a common language for a single loop leader. This is how a single loop leader talks. Just to summarize, are we doing things right? That's the kind of a question that probably a single loop leader will ask. Are we doing things right? Then the next question is, here is what to do. And the third question is, these are the procedures or rules. So there's little room for engagement. It's more of a one directional kind of leadership and learning and probably engagement. So that's single loop learning. So when you look at double loop learning, just to do a comparison, we are saying when it comes to double loop learning, so we focus on changing the way we make decisions and also deepening understanding of our assumptions. So it's more inquisitive, and it goes a little bit deeper to understanding the assumptions. What are our assumptions and what informs our assumptions as a leader? What is the language for a double loop leader? Are we doing the right things? So it's trying to question not just the action, but the context, questioning if we really aligned and if this is the right thing that we should be doing. Here is how this works. So we are moving from what we ought to do, or this is what we're supposed to fulfill, to this is how things work. So it's more of now getting into to the procedure. And then the third question, these are the insights and patterns. So we're able to do an analysis and be able to pick out the insights probably from processes and even the pattern. So we're moving one step more into questioning, being more inquisitive, getting into insights, getting into patterns, and also understanding how things work out. For triple loop learning, so the relationship between organizational structure and behavior is fundamentally changed, because the key word here, the organization learns how to learn. So we are looking into our culture, we're looking into our values, to our principles, to our beliefs, and even we question some of these very intrinsic and these core components that really define a leader and defines an organization. So for the triple loop learning, it's about learning. And this is where we say a leader learns how to learn. So we getting to understand the system and to be able to understand and learn from what we can be able to pick out of the systems that we are having. The language for such leaders, how do we decide what is right? Yeah, how do we decide what is right? So it's more of we're questioning, but we also want to really understand if we are saying this is the right thing to do, then how do we decide this is right? So it's much deeper. Then we are saying here is why we want to be doing this. And then finally, these are the principles, these are the values, these are the beliefs that guides the leader or the organization. So if you look at these three, you will find that each, and we can find leaders across all these areas, but one leader will be different from the other based on the learning loop and the kind of probably the kind of learning style they have adopted. So for triple loop learning, we're saying it's transformational. It's transformational. So the one word for triple loop learning here is transformational. The other one word we had checked earlier, it was why. So it focuses on the context. These are leaders that are transformational. These are leaders that are also disruptive in a way. They are leaders that are always on the move. They don't stay on a status quo. They always feel there's something new they can be able to do. So they are more radical, if I can use that word. And then if you look at the double loop learning, you say this is more of reframing, focuses on frames or structures. It's not really an overhaul of structures and systems, but it's how do we reframe? How do we change? How do we make slight adjustments to our systems? How do we improve our system? But for the triple loop learning, they will be looking at how do we overhaul the system? How do we probably they don't wait for systems to be obsolete. They can change what is working, transform what is working, even rebuild totally whatever is working to be able to achieve a new, probably a new goal or perspective. So again, if we look to the third one, that's the single loop. It's reactionary, so it focuses on actions. Yeah. So for the single loop, it's more of responding. It's more of responding. It's more reactional. It's more action oriented. So single one word is reactionary. Double loop, one word is reframing. Triple loop learning, one word is transformational. In addition to the other that we had shared. So in terms of application, the learning loops are important when it comes to problem solving. If you remember, there's an exercise we did about the triangle, and we counted the triangle, and all of us gave different answers. And I was able to show you the picture. There were actually 24 triangles, but it really required someone to take time to analyze, to break things into pieces. And that's what now can combine or can be a quality of a triple loop learner. You want to really unpackage everything. So these are important when it comes to problem solving. And I'll just give you two examples of problem solving techniques that we can be able to apply the learning loops that we have just gone through today. So one of them is called cause and effect, or Fishbone problem solving technique. In this case, you can see we have a fishbone there, and the mouth represents the problem. And then you try and look at the cause. So there is cause one, and under cause one, you have some sub-causes. Cause two, again, you have sub-causes, and then you analyze until you are able to get to the root cause of the problem. So this will guide the entire process, and you realize you'll be able to even discover problems that were so hidden that unless you really broke it into the fishbone scenario, then you'll not be able to get to the root cause of the problem. So an example is like someone came late for work. So what was the cause? The cause can be people, it can be machine, it can be the method, it can be measurement. So if we look at people, probably the children were the cause. Maybe the person had to drop children to school. Or in terms of people, maybe the person was demotivated, he was tired, he was lazy. If you look at the machine, it can be alarm clock that didn't go off on time. It can be train that delayed. So you see, we are getting in now into more details, and at the end of it all, we'll be able to unravel some of the causes and be able to get to the root cause. So these are very simplified but a very important problem solving technique referred to as cause and effect, or fishbone, or Ishikawa. And then the second one is the 5 whys. The 5 whys. It's also another problem solving technique. So you ask why 5 times. Ask why 5 times. So you define first the problem. Why is it happening? Why is that? Why is that again? Why is that? Until you get to the root cause. So you ask why 5 times. Another example here. Someone ran through a red light. Yeah, someone ran through a red light. So why? The first case is the person was late for work. Why again? Woke up late. Why again? Alarm clock broke. Again, didn't check if the clock worked at night. Again, the last why, the person forgot to do it last night. So we able to really understand why did this person run through a red light. Yeah, so This is something that we can apply in so many other scenarios as you think about your leadership scenarios. And it helps us to be more systematic and also to be able to really get to the root cause and not to judge from a point of probably very shallow understanding or shallow engagement or analysis, but you're able to really analyze much, much deeper. So those are the techniques that we can apply. And from this the three learning loops, we can also be able to get 3 levels of leaders. The first level of a leader is the what leader, then we have the how leader and the why leader. So the what leader is more reactionary, focuses on performing, it's task-oriented, focus on doing things right, not necessarily what is right, follows rules strictly, probably may not question rules, is more static, and is more of a manager. If we look at how leader, they are more reformative, they are strategizing, they are process-driven, they focus on deciding how to do things right. They also challenge rules. They are more of normative or structured, and also they are more of managers also. If we look at why leader, they are visionary, and they are also proactive, they are transformative. They are values-based, they focus on values or principles. They focus on deciding why to do things right. They focus on creating rules. They can be disruptive, dynamic, and adaptive. And basically, these are really, if they combine the qualities of manager, they will have higher affinity in terms of being or possessing qualities of a leader. So we can be able to get these three levels of leaders or types of leaders based on the learning loops. So that's just an overview of the 3 learning loops, where we can apply and how we can apply, and also being able to look at the 3 types of leaders based on the learning loop. So there's a challenge for you, the leadership challenge. You're saying critically evaluate your learning style. Which category of learning loops do you fit best out of the 3 that we have discussed? And then you can suggest and commit how to improve your learning style. So you can take time to do that on page 28. So as you go to your groups, you can discuss, probably all of you, where do you feel you're more inclined to out of the 3. And also let's engage briefly about the summary, the book summary, chapter 10 and chapter 15. What were the most outstanding issues that you are able to single out? So we'll discuss that briefly for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and continue with lesson 2. Good, I think we are good up to there. Can give me a thumbs up if we are okay and we are flowing well together as I create the groups. So let me know if you're flowing well, just a thumbs up will do. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to create 2 groups. Let's discuss about this question, the learning loops, and also let's briefly discuss about the outcome of the book review. And then after 10 minutes, we'll come back, and each group will have 1 person just to do an overview of the discussions. Okay, so I will, let me just arrange this and then allow you to go to the groups. Okay, so we might have, I might be in 1 group, but I'll not be engaging, and also probably Reverend Evanson might be in a group, but not engaging. So, but you just feel free to continue with your discussions. So 10 minutes, and then we come back. So enjoy your sessions. Let's discuss after 10 minutes. So please feel free to join the groups. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I trust you had good discussions, and we'll just move right away and just discuss the deliberations. So room one, we had David Okello, Justin, and Mariam. Room one, you can start us off. How are the discussions? Just a brief on what transpired.
Thank you very much. From our group, time was not enough. I believe time can never be enough, but we have been able to discuss what we learned or our key takeaways from last lesson. And we had 2 lessons, that is lesson 3 and lesson 4. And from lesson 3, we were looking at the modules, and there was the ICE model, which showed their 9 on the top, and also the 9 over 10. The 90% is below. The top 9 is about the skills and the knowledge that we acquire. Then the one that is hidden is about our personality, our attitude, and generally the social being, which really matters a lot. And also we looked the 2080 rule, and this was looking at the 2080 rule, which was focused that you can attain so much in the 20 and like at the 80. So if you have mainly the attitude, you can be able to so much or so much. And then showing us how they linked and how they work. And under this topic, that is topic 1, our takeaways were we really need to look at our attitude, positive attitude, which gives us strength and energy. And when you have a bad attitude, of course, you cannot go anywhere. So we learned that we need to change our attitude. Then there was lesson 4, which mainly focused on the skills, the core leadership. One was focusing on the self-awareness. It's always good to understand who you are. We looked at the SWOT analysis. You look at your strengths and opportunity and maximize on them, your weaknesses and your threats. You really minimize, work on them to be as minimal as possible. And then there was the personality types. We were able to evaluate ourselves, and also we said the assignment that we were given was candy to just help us know what is our personality type. As a leader, when you understand your personality type, you are able to live with people well. And then we looked at communication. Communication is key, and what was coming out from the communication bit was there is need for many people communicate, but very few connect. So there is need, as you try to do your communication, make sure that you are connecting. You may talk so many things, but you're not connecting. Then there was influence. As a leader, make sure that you're working towards bringing influence. And then learning agility, which brings about the learning ability. As a leader, if you stop learning, you stop being a leader. So you have to continue learning every time. God, I think our time, we were caught up with time, but we are also able to review what we learned today. That is about the 3 types of loops and the 3 types of leaders. And Justin and David, they are more on how the second loop leader, that is the how leader. So they are more on managerial. And Mariam was in what and how, a mix of the 2, the what and how. So also in that managerial bit, but we said as a team that we are all working towards being the triple leader. That is the why leader. That is being on the triple loop, just to ensure that you can be a manager and you can be also a leader. You are more on a leader and not on the managerial. So that's what we were able to discuss from our team. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Mariam and the team, and even for the recap of what transpired last week. We appreciate that. So let me move on to room 2. Room 2, Nolan, Pamela, and Robert. You can share also your deliberations. So room 2, whoever is representing room 2, just unmute and continue.
Okay, let me just apart from what the learning loops, and we were identifying with the particular learning loops, and Robert and okay, Robert gave us that he is between the how and the why. That is double learning loop and triple. And then Nolan also gave us that she was more on the how, that is the double learning. And Pamela was more also between the double and the triple. And we'll also looked at how to improve. And Robert said that when you look at, when he looked at himself, he said that to be able to improve on the leadership, it's about being deliberate so that he can plan, organize, create a system, and to have a mindset that has no room for excuses. And then Nolan talked about strategizing on how to deal with the stage that she is in and getting an idea at each and every stage of the leadership. And then Pamela believed that to be able to improve on the loop learning, it is important to identify the particular situation that one is dealing with, because there are times that you're dealing with a situation where you can use the single loop learning, and sometimes you can use the double loop learning, and other times you can use the triple loop learning. So that is how far we went. We were not able to do the book review, but we had just started before the time was up, and looking at the transformational leader as a leader who is self-motivated and therefore able to motivate others. And we had just started talking about the attitude of the transformational leader. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the two groups. Yeah, I think we appreciate that all the levels are important, and you'll always find you have a mix of the what, the how, and the why in whatever task. There will always be a mix. So we appreciate all of them. The only issue that we are concerned of is having fewer leaders in the groups. Because if you do a survey, even from what we are engaging tonight, you'll find probably we are getting close to the why. And the why, that is where we have the critical role of a leader. So that's our concern, that if we have fewer leaders in the teams, in organizations, then we'll have a challenge in terms of visionary leadership. We'll have a challenge in terms of those underlying, questioning our own underlying principles, values, and ensuring that we are more of, we are looking at in terms of long-term leadership. So I think that's an issue that we need to look at and just think about it, and it's a concern. Maybe even some of you, if you just do a survey in your organizations, How many why leaders do you have? How many how and what leaders do you have? You probably will find you have more of what and how, and very few leaders of that fall within the why leadership category. So we'll engage this more, and I think even after this second lesson, we'll still get back to the same discussion as we also trying to look now at other distinctions in terms of management or leaders versus managers. So allow me to move on so that we can move on to the next session, which is lesson 6. Lesson 6 we're going to be taken through by one of our own, an alumni of Global Leadership Network, who is Reverend Evanson Ngugi. He's based in Nairobi. He's a pastor, and also he does many other leadership roles. Maybe as he continues, those can be part of his practical experience based on how he will want to take it. So, Reverend, I take the opportunity to welcome you, just to move on as I project the PowerPoint. Karibu.
Thank you, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Reverend, can hear you well.
Okay. Is my voice projection okay?
Yeah, you are clear.
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you. Then we can move forward. I want to greet you all this evening. And thank you so much, Chairman, for taking us through that very wonderful session. I really learned a lot about leadership, more so about the why leader. And we need more of them, not only in society, but also in the kingdom of God, and also at homes. So my session is on leaders versus managers. We want to compare, we want to look in depth about leaders, and we compare them with managers. There is on our screen. I will look at it, and I want to give you a chance to comment something about what you can see, because there is always a lesson when we look at something. Let me hear you comment, please. You can also write, tell us about your view of the picture on the wall. Somebody?
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, this is David Okello.
Yes, David. What do you think about the picture?
Pictures, eh?
Yes.
You can see from the two pictures, from the two bottles,
Yes.
There's one that is full with a substance.
Yes.
I don't know whatever it is, maybe sugar or salt or something.
Right.
Or flour.
Yeah. Yes.
Then we have a second one that is halfway.
Yes.
On the
Almost,
first jar,
almost.
It's in the middle.
Yes.
On the first jar, we have
Yes.
an animal there who can clearly see beyond the jar.
Yes.
And on the second one, we have an animal who is struggling to see. So, well, I can say that we have this full jar that at least it clearly tells you that it's full, yes, and it's like a visionary.
David, what do you learn? What do you learn about leadership on what you can see?
Leadership is about uplifting people to see what they cannot see. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, David, for your comment. Somebody else, please. Okay. Somebody else. There are two jars here, two animals here. Is there any relationship between them? And what lesson do we learn? What leadership lesson do we learn from what we can see? Somebody else, please.
I think I can add to what David has said, just to pick
Yes,
it
please.
from where he has left. On the
Yes.
two jars, we have one that has one that is full with is it a rat or a mice? That is,
It's a mice, yeah. You are
then
right.
we have the other jar that has little, and the mice is not really able to see. So what I learned from there
Yes.
is that the more you can see, the more you can be able to get or to acquire, compared to the other small mice that is really struggling to see. Whenever things are not very clear to you, the more you may not really achieve much. That's what I see. I don't know.
Oh, thank you so much, Mariam. That is good. At least we are really discussing something about leadership. That before you start something, you must be able to think about it. Before you make a decision, you must be able to analyze all the factors, then be able to make a decision so that you don't put yourself in a trap. Chairman, let's move on, please. What there is that on that particular picture, it is good to think with the head in mind. Have the bigger picture before you start embarking on any project. The two pictures is about one mice. It was at the starting, and the other one was finishing eating whatever it was eating. So the problem is, when it was starting, it never thought that whatever it is eating will be pretty. It fights itself deeper in a trap. So the second mice will have a problem of getting out of that trap. So yeah, of short-term pressures that can lead long-term traps. Instant gratification versus delayed gratification. And this is all about decision. It's all about the way you analyze a problem. All you can see is not all there is. This is what we call critical thinking. There is always, you remember that picture we had of the iceberg? So what we see is only a small part. Think, because underlying there is a bigger issue that you need to understand and be able to process. Think beyond self. Health relationships are key. Single income and single identity is what brings a crisis. So we need always to be very careful when we are confronted with the issues. Always ask yourself, why? Thank God, because of what we have learned in lesson number 5, that apart from what and how, go for the why, because that is where the solution is lying. Let's move on. I want to talk about leaders, fees managers. Now, I have a question here. I don't know whether I like just to hear one person commenting because of time. Leaders employ managers, but managers cannot employ leaders. Who can have something out of that statement? That leaders can employ managers and do employ managers, but managers are not able to employ leaders. What do you think about that statement? Somebody can frontier, one person? Do we have a frontier? Leaders employ managers. Okay. If you don't have a frontier now, somebody is talking?
Sorry, I feel I'm over talking, but I can say something. What just came into my mind.
Please do.
The thing is, what I get from that sentence is that leaders employ managers and managers cannot employ leaders. Leaders have traits that managers don't have, and that's why they can never employ leaders, and they are always employed. So there are traits that leaders have that managers don't have.
What about managers? Do they have traits that leaders do not have?
The
Well-
managers are lower. Okay, they don't have those traits.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your attempt. I like that. That is good, that leaders employ managers. I want us to look at, I want to analyze both of them so that we can be able to answer that question. Now, Kathy Austin said that managers light a fire under people, leaders light a fire in people. I want to look at that particular picture on our screen. Now, there is the first group. We have work, people, and a leader, the red one. And the second one we have. So the first one we have, a leader, is part of the team. You can agree with me. Whereas the second one, the manager is behind there, encouraging, organizing, doing so many things so that these people can be able to do the work. But he himself seems not to be part of it. So leadership, a leader sees a better feature and is willing to pay the price to bring that feature to reality. He will do anything. He will go to every length to make sure that what he sees, what he imagines, comes to fruition. So let's look at some characteristics of these people. Leadership and management are both distinctive and complementary systems of action with unique functions and characteristics. That is something which is very important. They are distinctive and complementary, meaning they are unique in their own definition, yet they complement each other. So that at the end of the day, we can say a good leader is one who employs good leadership skills and good management skills. The challenge is to balance strong leadership and strong management to complement each other. Both are very important. I want you to note that both strong leadership and strong management are very important in governance, in administration, in production, in organization, family, or even in one's life. We need to combine the two. Both leadership and management, communication, problem solving, decision making at different degrees. Those three of leadership and management are very important. Leadership, and they also define management. A manager sees things as they are, but a leader as they should be, meaning he will question, he will not be satisfied, he will dig deeper to know the whys of that particular story. A leader sees a feature that is willing to pay that feature to reality. There is, in the figure that is on our, the general is between a manager and a leader. Management is about planning. Leadership is about influencing. Management is about organizing. You organize the resources. You organize the variables so that you can produce. Management is about staffing. That is when you talk about human resource officers, the issues of the staff. Management is about coordinating. Management is about controlling so that things can be done as planned. But leadership is about influencing, It's about motivating. It's about inspiring. It is about creating. It is about mentoring. We go back to the statement of Cathy Austin that managers light a fire under people. You can see about management, but leaders light a fire in a people. But both of these, you find that what is common to them is about communicating. It's about problem solving. It's about decision making. Both of them are involved so that they can get results. Let us look at some outstanding distinctions of leadership and management as analyzed by Joe Miller. When we look at management and we compare it with leadership, we find that management is generally seen to involve overseeing. That is where we have people we call overseers, people who have responsibility over others in the day-to-day operations. It also involves accomplishing goals, the set goals. It also involves achieving objectives. This is very crucial in management. But when we look at leadership, we see that leadership spans a wider remit that includes defining a strategy and vision, influencing and inspiring others. It is not about accomplishing goals or achieving objectives. Leadership goes further than that. It looks at the strategies and also how those people who are going to be involved in that work are inspired. Managers rely on positional authority, whereas leaders exercise interpersonal influence. So managers will be there, will work as per the position given, the office established, but leaders will be interested in the power in the people. That is why they go down, influence the people across all efforts in that organization. Managers are inclined to control, whereas leaders inspire trust. Managers focus on, whereas developing and empowering others. I wanted to have a manager, his tray for it is. He receives policies, of course, from leaders, and then his work is to implement them. But the leader will develop these policies. He will come up with empowering systems so that others can become productive. Managers roll out tasks. These tasks are have time frame, and they also expect results. Whereas leaders share vision. These visions are timeless and they have unlimited possibilities. These visions motivate others and they also create meaning. Managers administer or leaders of doing things. They challenge the status quo. So number 8, managers break, while leaders create or formulate or innovate. Number 9, managers focus on systems and procedures, while leaders focus on people. people-oriented, whereas managers are system or procedure-oriented. Number 10, managers have a short-range view. That is, they work time frames. They have what we call short-term strategies, while leaders focus on long-range perspective. That is what we call seeing a bigger picture. Number 11, managers accept and maintain the status quo. They have no problem. Once you show them what they need to do, they will do it well. They will not question so many things because they will not go to the point of asking why. They will deal with the what and the hows, but not the why. But leaders challenge quo. Challenging status quo is asking why this thing done the way it is done. Is there another way of doing it? Managers do things right, while leaders do the right things. There's a very big difference, doing things right and doing the right things. Now, when we look at a summary of leaders and managers, we then leadership and management. Now, the difference between managers and leaders is that we start with the aspect of or is making strategy, and I'm trying to read the phone, allow me to focus more. That's right. So leading is a vision and strategy. It is creating value. It is it's about having it's about people it's about being people focused. It's about charismatic style. Leading is about risk and change seeking. It is appealing to the heart. It is proactive. It sets direction. It raises expectations and asks questions. That's about leading. But when you look at management or managing, it's about policies and procedures. Management is about working under you. It's about managing work. It's about authoritarian style. I do a lesson on leadership, on types of leadership later on, one is about authoritarian leadership and the others. Managing it's about appealing to the head. It's about reactive. Details on plans, maintaining status quo. They don't ask questions. It's about giving directions. That's about managing. But both of them, their primary objective is to accomplish a goal. It is to explain vision. Both of them will help in organization figurehead. Both of them leading and managing will also help in motivating others and mobilizing resources. You see, both of them complement each other, yet they have distinctive differences. Now, leadership and management, to summarize it, we say leadership is about goals, management is about telling it. Leadership is about taking work on minimizing risks. Leadership is about encouraging. Management to be involved in instructing others. Leadership will normally go against the grain. This is when it comes to asking the whys. But management will go pro. They will agree. It is maintaining status quo. Leadership motivate, but management is about approving. Leadership breaks the rules, it's about breaking the rules, whereas management is about following the rules. Leadership is inspiring trust in others, but management will expect control. Finally, but management is about assigning tasks. What is common to both is that they accomplish, they accomplish a goal. Thank you. Now, let's look at a summary of what we are talking about, the difference between leader and many differences. But what we have here is just a word to explain about all these differences. Leader is about change, but a manager is about stability. A leader is about leading people. That is their business. But managers be involved in managing work. So they are work-oriented, whereas leaders are people-oriented. Leaders focus on long-term, just focus on short this picture. Leaders are vision, but managers are more interested in the objective and of course the goals of an organization. Leaders flow very well with personal charisma, but managers authority. Their success but managers Okay, we are back. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Sorry for that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we can. So I think it was being timed out. So we are talking about leaders. What about managers? About minimizing risks. That is their business. They will be satisfied when they are working with as few, but leaders are risk takers. Leaders seek, managers are mainly involved in establishing the truth. Leaders work is right. They work or they are involved with what is right. But managers, they're involved in doing what is right. And as we said earlier, there's a very right. You can basically say leaders are very important in management, and managers are also important in leadership. The success of an organization need the two skills. We can say that managers will focus on things, but leaders are people oriented. They focus on people. Managers do things right, that is being right. But leaders do the right things. They do what is right. And doesn't matter whether it is against the establishment or not. They always go for that which they think is right. The managers plan. They are very good at planning, but leaders inspire. We go back to the first statement. They light fire in people. When you inspire people, you empower them. I have been a career teacher for a number of years, and there's a statement we used to have that a good teacher teaches well, but the best teacher inspires. And I also believe that statement also in the kingdom of God. Right now, I'm doing clerical work, and I also believe in that statement that it is good to inspire people more than plannings for them. So managers organize, but leaders influence. Managers direct, but leaders motivate. Managers control, but leaders build. Managers follow rules, leaders shape entities. I go back to the statement I gave you about leaders employing managers. Managers will find they do things that have been established by leaders. Leaders formulate policies, managers execute them. So in the absence of leadership or good leadership, management will always have a challenge. In the absence of focused leadership, management will also lose focus. But in the presence of good leadership, managers, because they are involved in organizing, they always do the right thing. So as we come to the end, I would like you to look at the challenge, leadership challenge. Best thing to do is identify quality to commit to improve on management and leadership. those spaces you can write. Each one of us know ourselves. I thank God because you did the personal analysis and you know where you need to improve. You can write it down there, and then you can give yourself time to be checking on how you are faring. Thank you so much. And I also appreciate in this class, I have 2 sons. I thank for you. Thank you, Chairman, for this opportunity. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Reverend. I think we can appreciate Reverend in a digital format. Let's give him a clap, a digital clap, or a comment for the wonderful discussions that we have had. Is there any question that we may want to ask our facilitator, especially on the issue of leaders versus managers? I think it's good if we can just ask any question before we call it a day. Any question that we might have for him? Either on the chat or just unmuting and mentioning reading it out. We can tap from his experience and also from the discussions of the day. Or maybe there is also a challenge you have faced and you may want us to just engage on that. That will still be okay. So if there is any, we can take it. If there is none, maybe we can just do the take home. Then let me see on the chat. Okay, Mariam is saying that was a great teaching. That was great teaching. Yeah. Okay, so we'll keep on engaging. Reverend is one of us, so once in a while he'll pop in and engage with us. So I'm sure if there are any questions, we can still get a way of connecting and interacting more. But I think the consensus today is we are saying that we need more leaders for transformative change. We need more leaders for visionary leadership, because as I said, if organizations are led, I'm using that word led, by managers, then we'll be good in terms of probably short-term engagements, but in terms of long-term engagements, we might have a challenge. And that's why we feel we need to equip more leaders. We need to transition more from what, how, to the why, so that we can build up. If you look at the pyramid, the strategic, they call it the strategic management or strategic leadership pyramid, you will see it's a triangle. And down here we have the operations. In the middle we have the technical, and then at the apex here we have the strategy team. And the strategy team is very slim. And I think the current situation is even dire, because we think we feel, even from the environment, that really we need visionary leadership. We need leaders who are able to transform things around. And this is our small way of challenging each other. That yes, we have known where we are, but we still have leeway to be able to keep on upgrading, so that we can be able to challenge our environment in terms of visionary leadership. This country probably have made a few steps because of some of the visionary leaders that were able to come up and sacrifice and project us to long-term thinking. So as we continue to engage, let's think about ourselves more. Let's think about our environment. And as I've always said, let's look for opportunities to be able to share this information with the people that we are leading down there, so that we are able to challenge them to work with us in this journey of transformational change. So I want to appreciate all of you. I see we've already beyond our time. And I just want to thank you. Let's keep up. Let's continue with the spirit. There are keywords that we normally use in this class. One is process. We learn through the process. Two is consistency. Is that the results are a product of how consistent we have been. So consistency, there is the issue of resilience. Sometimes you feel like you are being knocked down, but you will always get a way of standing up and walking forward again. And then networking, among other keywords. So let's always remember, in terms of if there are challenges that we face, we keep on being resilient. Remember again, in terms of our activities, we say let's focus more on the results than reasons. And that was a quote that I shared at the beginning, that really what counts at the end of the day is the results, not the reasons. And that's very, very important, because it will help us to be more progressive and even to be able to achieve much. So if we commit, I just pray that all of us will commit. If it's the challenge, we undertake the challenge. If it's the book review, we all commit to undertake the book review, and any other exercise that we might post around, so that we can maximize the benefits of this program. On 14th August, we are having a retreat and graduation for the previous cohorts, that is cohort 7, 8, 9, and 10. But we are opening it up. If some of you or all of you might want to participate, for you it's voluntary. For the other cohorts, it's at least for them, they have to be there because they are graduating. But we are opening it up even for the ongoing classes. So if you feel you can be able to participate on 14th of August, I'll share more details on the group. It will be Nairobi. You can also sign up, and we'll also be able to update you on the arrangements. Otherwise, I just want to pause there. Unless there is any comment, any clarification, I may want to close there. Is there any comment? Any feedback, any clarification as we close? Sawa. I think we are good, so we can unmute and share the word of grace together as we close. Okay, so let's unmute. Okay, and may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the
love of God
and the
and the
fellowship
fellowship
of
of the Holy Spirit
be with us
with
now
us now
and forevermore.
Forevermore.
Amen.
Amen. God bless
Amen.
you and keep safe. Keep safe,
Good
all
night.
of us.
Thank
Night.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you
Thank you.
and good night.
Good night.
Night.